There we go.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Canna Club, to Minneapolis Cannabis, Minnesota Craft Cannabis Guild, presenting at Canna Club at Earl, Giles. Sorry, I had a cookie earlier, it really kicked in. So, at any rate, yeah, it's January 28th in 2026 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we are at Canna Club, and this is the longest running Canna Club in the United States, and we've been doing this just about every Wednesday night for a little over 2 years. Robert and Brian are kind of the stalwarts. For a lot of people, it was kind of like a big coming out party every week for a long time, because we were coming out of the cannabis closet in the early days, and that was fun. It was fun as shit to like meet people I'm old. We joke, like people my age, we joke that we spend the first half of our lives hiding it from our parents, and we spend the second half of our lives hiding it from our kids. And I mean, I don't even have kids, and I don't hide it from my cats. So, at any rate, I just wanted to acknowledge that it's been a hell of a fucking week here. It's been a hell of a month, year, whatever, in Minneapolis, and for a long, Robert and Brian and I had a long conversation about Canna Club being a place where we can just enjoy community, and we can reset our nervous systems from all of the things that are going on in the rest of our lives right now. But with that said, and if after Joe and I are done, if anybody wants to, we are opening up the microphone for some storytelling. Anybody has any story about themselves that they want to share, you are welcome to come up and share a share of yourself. So that's what we're doing after Joe and I get really bougie and snotty about some weed. Because really, the band plays on. Like, when chaos is happening, and we find joy in each other. We find joy if there's nothing you can do, find your joy where you can. And I wish my friend Bob Wallach was here tonight. He and his wife Erin own Canna Joy, and that's their mantra. Find your joy. Find your joy in everything. And so I'm really glad thank you for everybody who's come out tonight. I hope that you feel better leaving from having been here. So that's my intention that I'm setting for this evening, that everybody here feels more seen and heard and connected to each other before we leave tonight. So let us talk about, tonight we're going to be talking about consumption modalities. We've got 5 main buckets of consumption modalities that we're going to split up and go through. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about terpenes being the language of craft cannabis, and this would be for mostly combustibles. And then we're going to recap the tenets of quality for concentrates, for consumables, and then tinctures, topicals, and suppositories, which, by the way, fun fact, those were just the 5 categories. Flowers and concentrates, so combustibles, consumables, things that you eat, digest. 3rd is going to be topicals, 4th, tinctures, and then 5th, suppositories. And yes, suppositories. And then lastly, we're going to take some questions. So we're going to start out with me handing the microphone to Joe, and he's going to talk about all things combustion.
Thank you. So we're kind of talking today, chatting about what to talk about with this. And I just kind of looked around my house like, well, we'll talk about that. I got a lot of stuff around the house. All of a sudden, it looks like, but a lot of it ends up being stuff that was given to me over the years, and ends up being more of a memento than an actual piece. Like something like this guy, who's a friend of mine, gave me that. It's probably copper. Probably not a piece you want to be really smoking out of anymore nowadays, that you've kind of figured out. Between copper and like raw aluminum and stuff like that, under metal pipes. And with that, also, metal pipes probably are not really high on the list for really craft cannabis consumption. It is a durable thing, but a lot of the side effects that are negative is it heats it up real fast, and it probably burns it hotter than you want it to in a lot of cases. So you get a little harsher sensation with the metal pipes. Also, you have your glass pipes or bowls. My little Spidey, I like that one. But when you go to select one at a smoke shop or wherever you're at to get one, there are things you want to think about. One thing is the hole in the center. You don't want that hole too big. You don't want Scooby snacks. It's when you're smoking and you get pulled through with hot material. Also, you want to make sure the hole is pretty centered. Otherwise, the bowl will not burn that even. A lot of my Ganjier friends will use these one serving at a time and clean it all the way, so you're not tasting leftover residue. You know, tasty stuff that this guy has in it, unfortunately. But you don't always have time and don't do it. But on a pipe like this, with the twist in it, looks cool, yes. But now you've complicated the cleaning process. And that is key, because when you buy it and use it a lot, if you're not cleaning it, you're not going to want to use it. It's going to taste real scummy. The resin just builds up, and that's how you start tasting. So I recommend you think about, how hard is this going to be to clean? How often am I going to use it? Maybe in that case, if you're using it a little more regularly, maybe you just want to straight. This is a chillum. Chillums, they go up to feet long, I believe.
Well, I'll argue that we should actually put chillums in their own category, because chillum is for it's. So right now we're talking about combusting flower. A chillum is what you use with a chillum is a combination of flour and hash. So and there are a couple of other. It's more along the lines of like a blunt, which is going to be tobacco and cannabis rolled into or a hash hole. So I'll argue that that's just in a slightly. It's in a subcategory.
Alright, so I get that. As I was growing up, this would have been a pinchy.
We have a one.
And essentially the same.
That's a fat one.
Same thing. But yes, the chillums that she's referring to are usually larger. They're pretty usually artful too.
And they're ceremonial.
Yes, they're ceremonial. This is more, I don't know, just smoke your herb and that type of thing.
Yeah,
Gotcha. And then, well, to me growing up, this was a one. And now, I didn't even know they made them this way, but I bought one today, spring loaded. Another thing though, you want to make sure it is anodized aluminum or stainless steel. You do not want raw aluminum or anything other than stainless steel or anodized aluminum on metal pipes. Also, a nice consumption method for flower is your good old bong. There are several ways to use a bong. One way is just standard, put water in it. You fill it a little bit, you pull through, you pull the slide out, or some have a choke. Same with a lot of glass pieces, they have a side hole. It's called a choke. Well, in this one, I've put ice in it. Very smooth, very nice. And this one's also set up for a little more like baby hits. It's got a bunch of little holes on the back, so the pull's not as hard. Helps keep it from being so harsh. It's also got the shorter neck, which some bongs get up to feet long. And you start building all that smoke, that's not going to be smooth, that's not going to be real desirable. I prefer the shorter, quick bong. Also packing it with snow, nice little benefit of Minnesota. Pack that with snow, it ends up being very smooth, very nice. They also make freeze pipes now with attachments. You throw in the freezer and you clip it on. They make them in bowls and in bongs. Another thing I don't have on this one that is super nice is ash catchers. It'd be like a side bowl here, and you put your flour over here, and when you burn it, the ash never gets into this. So you keep your smell down, your bad taste down. And that is another thing about all the pieces. Again, cleaning the bong. You're not gonna like your bong if it just gets dirty. It's gonna taste terrible. I recommend alcohol pads, a little shot of alcohol in there, swish it around, rinse it out really well after every use. I've done that for a while with this one, and it's still fairly decent shape. It does work.
Just a quick note, like that's a really nice piece. One of the things, when you're going out to buy a piece, one of the things that you really want to pay attention to is how you're going to clean it. Because some of those pieces are absolutely beautiful, and you're going to want to spend money on them. And you're going to use them a couple of times, and after you use them a couple of times, you're going to realize what an utter nightmare they are to clean. And that beautiful, beautiful piece that you just spent a small fortune on, like a mortgage payment on this beautiful, beautiful piece, now you're not able to use it because you don't want to have it end up being grubby. So just think about that, about cleaning it, because they can get so pretty and so pricey.
Joe,
Yes.
recently we went shopping for a bottle, and when I came in with my requisites was eating. Also, I'm dairy intolerant, and so I have issues. You hear me? Mucus, like I have too much phlegm.
Yeah.
Sometimes when my son who smokes, I have my autism cannabis license. And they talked about how the longer the neck, the more that can help with reducing something about moisture. And they also said something like, even though ice feels good and smooth, it's actually the warmth that helps in moisture reduction. Can you talk about that?
So her question was, she went into a place and they said that the longer the stem, the smoother and less you get of the moisture, and doing ice is bad.
It just
Increases it. Well, what I'll say is, the longer it is, the more stale that smoke is getting. When it starts to turn yellow towards the bottom, that is not a good clean hit. I bring this right up to here. I exhale, let it slide, and clear just this. I do not like to see it get yellow. I see people ripping a yellow bong and it's all about how much smoke is in there and sitting and festering. That's been my experience of 30 years of doing it.
Well, you know what else? We got one like this one. It's a fucking nightmare to clean because you can't put it under the faucet. You're afraid it's gonna break.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
They are very hard to clean. Even this one, I mean, this looks pretty basic, But I should really get an ash catcher. I really recommend ash catchers. You keep all your material out of the actual part of the bong. So then you're literally just cleaning it with alcohol, and you're just cleaning the smoke and other residues. Works pretty good.
That's a really stable one too.
Yeah.
Love it.
That is another thing too, especially bowls. I always, when I go to buy one, is it gonna roll off my table?
Right?
Am I gonna bump it and $30 down the drain? Real easy, that happens all the time. People also leave them in their lap a lot and stand up. Guilty. Done that a lot.
Excuse me. I wanted to address I won't call it a myth, but or an urban legend. So people talk. So there's this conversation going around about ice in in your bong, and that it chills the smoke, and that is less irritating for your lungs. And honestly, all of those things are true. It is also true that the ice does capture some of the terpenes and some of the cannabinoids that are being brought up in the smoke. That is also true, and then it is also true that it's so minor, it's highly unlikely you'll ever miss them. So there's a cost benefit to everything. That's kind of why people are saying, oh, ice is bad, in your bong is bad. Yes, you do lose lose a portion of cannabinoids. Yes, you do lose a portion of the terpenes. But yes, it is also true that those are very minor, and that a lower temperature smoke is less irritating on your lungs. And it is also true that I forgot the last. I already said it, so it's fine. That's it.
Another type of bong is a gravity bong. That's usually homemade. I have a pretty funny story about when I was pretty young, the first time I tried one. My friend made one out of a 2-liter bottle, and you get a little igloo cooler, like you put the water in, and you fill that up with water, and you cut the bottom off the 2-liter, and you pull up through the water with a bowl on top, and when it's all the way full of completely yellow smoke, you plunge it down, and you take it all in, forces it in your lungs. Very first time I tried it, I coughed so hard, I got a double bloody nose.
Oh my God.
It was everywhere. And the person behind me is like, I'm next! I'm like, what is wrong with you? I'm dying over here. And I did do them a few more times after that, but I also learned how to construct a really good one. And the 2-liter bottle is a bad idea. Milk jug's a bad idea. Let's just say the apple cider 1-gallon jugs they have the right size mouthpiece. Anyway, that is definitely not a craft cannabis trait that I like to continue.
Minnesota winter.
Yeah, that was more like I was young and dumb. But I do like the occasional bong still.
Does the glass type matter for you?
I personally, thicker the better, really. There's a brand called Tag, it's thick ass glass. Those are really nice.
Kind of like Pyrex that doesn't break.
They will break, but my friends dropped it on concrete and it didn't break. Also, they have a lot of weird chambers in them. I don't know, one's called a honeycomb, and it looks like a honeycomb, and you pull up through that. The only problem is it traps air. And if you do things out of order and you put that back in without shaking the neck around and letting the air out, your bowl gets ejected. And when you're smoking out of a bong, you tend to forget minor details sometimes. So you don't want to be across the table sometimes. But yeah, that definitely happens. There's also one that has a vortex in it that they make, and the water comes no matter how hard you pull, you can't seem to get it all the way up, but it'll spin the whole way up. I don't know that really matters. If it's really cold water, it might be cooling the whole time, but it's just really cool, and yes, I don't know, not really my deal. But, any other questions on bonds? Yeah.
Cleaning, and I just came in and maybe I missed it, but like I've always found they're great, you know,
Until they're dirty.
Until they turn black.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that. They make ash catchers that really help keep them clean. It's basically an extension off of this. I wish I had one to show you. I tried to get one today, but they didn't have any. But yeah, this one after every use, I put a little alcohol in it. I wipe it all down. I shake it all around, rinse it really well.
Okay.
I just use straight alcohol. I know there's cleaners out there. I taste the cleaners, any cleaner I've ever used. But alcohol seems
a little harsh. I know acetone is an organic solvent that'll clear it up.
Well, that'll definitely clean it.
Strong chemicals.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I was gonna say anybody who did time in a restaurant, it's how you clean the coffee. How you clean the coffee. Coffee mugs. Coffee. What the hell are they called? Grass. Thank you. It's with ice and salt.
Okay.
So but yeah, we were talking about that earlier. That's a point of consideration because when you're making your purchase, because some of these bongs are just beautiful, and then you use them a couple of times and you're like, oh, it's gonna really look gunky in about 5 minutes. So, and then you just don't want to use it. So, okay. So we talked about bongs. Oh, we didn't talk about flower vaporizers. These are actually, we have a couple of flower vaporizers here. I highly recommend these. What these do is these vaporize they vaporize the trichomes on your flower without combusting the plant material. So you're not actually getting that carbon that carbon irritant, that carcinogen into your lungs using a flower vaporizer, but you're still consuming the flower. We're consuming cannabis in its flower form, which has lots of which has the whole medicinally, it has whole plant benefits. It is also one of the fastest modalities for getting cannabis into your system if you need immediate relief, pain relief. So that is the fastest way to get the medicine into your body is combustion. So that is flower vaporizer. This is a PAX. This is one of those double function ones because you can also combust concentrates using this one. And then same with that one. There are, I don't know, we talked a little bit about brands. The two brands that I know of that my people I know speak very highly of are PAX and Puffco, and also, oh no, wait, PAX is part of Puffco, isn't it? I don't remember. Puffco, PAX, and Dr. Dabber are the ones that the names that I keep hearing. Paper. Did we talk about paper?
I have one more. Okay. So they do make a stainless steel coil vape. Have you ever tried those? So what they do is, it looks kind of like a cap of a 1-y, and it has two prongs up, and you pack flour into that, into the base that's pretty deep, and then the two prongs slide onto the piece, and you just put it on and barely on the top, and the piece is ripped like this, and you push it down tight, and you take a torch or a lighter. Torch works better, but you got to remember not to just incinerate it. You have to take the flame far away and slowly go up to it, and when it starts clicking, it's hot enough, it's at the right temperature, you start pulling, it's vaporization with the metal piece and a lighter. Works pretty good.
Nice. Okay, so then let's go to tools for papers. Papers. That is such a personal thing. Mostly, I look for gum that sticks nice. Like that's really good for a consistent stick. And then I'm also all about supporting local, so I pretty much exclusively buy Diesel J's. Dual owns the company. He's a local guy and he's lovely, and the gum is it's a really nice gum. It's really reliable, and I can get a little slobbery. And some of the gums on some of the papers, I'm a little too slobbery, and it just kind of like all the gum goes away pretty much instantly, and I can this one works with me. So I that's my choice. I also roll my own because I mean that's just what I've always done, and I'm just a creature of habit. And I'm too lazy to clean a bong. Also because that's not. I want to smoke more than that at one time. I smoke like a gram and a half at a time, and I smoke it as a joint, and that's part of my ritual. That's the consumption modalities are not just. I mean, there's so many different factors. It's what makes sense for your body at that specific time. Are you looking to how fast acting do you want it to be? But yes, that's the thing. Combustion, concentrates. Wow, there are so many cool things happening with concentrates these days. I have to tell, like, the concentrates, especially some of the ways of making concentrates, they are truly from a connoisseur perspective. They are truly the most beautiful expression of the plant. They express time, they express place, they express terroir. They are. It's like cognac. It's like the cognac of cannabis. It is a good hash is a good concentrate can be just a gorgeous, transformative, transportive experience. With that said, to date, a lot of the ways of truly experiencing the beauty and nuance of these products is with these glass contraptions and like these torches that frankly, like, I'm a 56-year-old woman, that shit's really methy to me. And I'm just like, no, I'm not doing that. It really creeps me out. But now there are these really cool gadgets, and they're getting better all the time. And you can consume your concentrates, and I mean that's not methy. It's like, I mean it's legit. And I brought my janky one that came with this is a Puffco Proxy, and it's cool as hell. You can set the temperature. It's got like 4 temperature settings that you can set it to. The lowest one is obviously the lowest temperature. This is meaningful because it fires your concentrate at different firing your concentrates at different temperatures is a different flavor experience. There's also so what I do is I start at the lowest temperature, and then I gradually move up to the hottest temperature, and that's the last thing I smoke. So that's how I make sure that I'm getting all the full experience of that concentrate. So that's one of the things that I do. The other thing that I'll do, and I'm smoking a joint, is I will do what's called a dry hit, and we can have that conversation later because we're running out of time. I think we're gonna run over. Okay, so we have these. So they have these beautiful glass rigs, and they have these torches, and like they are elaborate. And then they've got these things there's so many different gadgets that go along with it. We could talk about like terp slurpers, and then you have like these other things where you like this whole like glass following Eddie kids. It's a whole subculture. It's serious, like it's a massive subculture, and there are people who will spend like multiple mortgage payments on a rig. And they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. Okay, so we hit on flowers, we hit on modalities for consumption for concentrates. Next, we're going to talk about, those are all the things that we smoke. But there are plenty of other ways to consume cannabis. Next up is consumables, so edibles, low-dose hemp beverages, as well as butter, infused butters that you can make at home with your Levelo. Those are the consumables. Hemp versus marijuana versus synthetic isolate. So hemp versus marijuana, the THC chemical compound, it's a chemical compound. It doesn't, on its own, it doesn't really matter where it comes from, except for legally. And that is that's the root of a lot of different conversations that are happening around hemp and marijuana right now. So there are a lot of folks here who I know who work in cannabis, and there are a lot of folks here who don't work in cannabis, and that would just be a very different conversation for those two groups. So I'm just not going to touch on it. But as a consumer, please know that as an isolate, it is chemically indistinguishable from each other. Whether it is grown on a hemp plant, whether it is grown on a marijuana plant, both of those are actually kind of not scientific based. Those are legal terms, not science terms. Hemp and marijuana. And then synthetic isolate is isolate that is grown on yeast in a petri dish in a lab. Then we have so those are all chemically, if they are an isolate, they are chemically indistinguishable from each other, regardless of their origin, as an isolate. And this goes back to our conversation about the entourage effect. So remember, that's where we have now we talk about the difference between isolate and whole plant. Isolate is biomass, a field of cannabis that is brought in and put through a chomper, and then they do things, chemical things, and spit out, and it breaks all the things down into the unique parts. They drill it down to the fundamentals. But as we know, the plant is more than the sum of its parts. So that just seems to that's coming up a lot lately. That complexity, that we approach life as with a reductionist view. That if we break things down to their components, that we can control them. But we are more than just our parts. That's what marijuana teaches us. One of the things. Next, a lot of the things that you're going to see today in consumables, specifically in edibles, are nutraceuticals. We're actually doing a product launch tonight for On Point. Our good friend Opie just launched a root beer, and as we know, Opie he has a love of his love of mushrooms goes deep, and so we have so in his new root beer, he's got THC isolate. And then he's got two different kinds of mushrooms, like whatever. But those are technically nutraceuticals. So those are additions to anything that you see, like a mushroom or kava or even caffeine. Caffeine is plant medicine, technically. Those are called nutraceuticals, and you'll see them added. Oftentimes, you'll see those things added to consumables, to edibles that that make it more attractive. There's actually a good reason for this. Cannabis is a potentiator for plant medicine. So cannabis and now we're going back to, remember, our endocannabinoid system, that's communication system. So with the cannabis, that communication system, the cannabis plugs in, the cannabinoids plug into our endocannabinoid system, and those nutraceuticals that are along for the ride, they get directed to exactly where they need to go very, very quickly, because they got to the party with the messengers, right?
They're dancing with the right partners, is what I get.
And you gotta dance with them that brought you. So you want to set them up nice. So we set them up nice. That's why that kind of that whole thing kind of works. Which is actually a nice discussion, because so people poo-poo isolate, and no, don't. There's a really good reason for it. It's just like there's a reason for everything. Like so there's isolate, and then there's full spectrum and whole spectrum, which are marketing terms that have been beaten so hard that they are functionally useless. So let's just say isolate, or let's say full spectrum, and whole plant. So whole plant is where the whole is more than the sum of its parts. So that's the entourage effect. That's the entourage effect in its glory. Does the entourage effect happen when you have Frankenstein, some cannabinoids, major and minor, and then a spectrum of botanical terpenes? Does it happen? Psychosomatically, for somebody, I'm sure it does, but that's not whole plant. That is not whole plant. Whole plant is as nature grew it. That's how I like my flower, but I'm not poo-pooing other ways. I'm not poo-pooing isolate, because honestly, like, whole plant it's a wild thing. And with medicine, sometimes you want to have isolate to make that medicine more consistent and more specific and more reliable. So it depends on I think it depends really on why you're consuming it, how you're consuming it, and those things. Also, when you consume cannabis, there's approximately 150 milligrams of cannabinoids, predominantly THC, in a joint. Your body, through your lungs, you absorb less than 25% of that. So you're really getting around, if you smoke a whole joint, you're getting around, it's really kind of low. And then when you eat cannabis, your digestive system, specifically your liver, turns that THC into delta hydroxy 11, which is 5 times more psychoactive than regular THC. So that's why we want to, when we're moving from flower to combustibles, that's why we want to drop our dosages, like, really dramatically. But with that said, isolate hits different than, whole plant hits different than isolate. I like my gummies. I'm a fan of my gummies, but I make my own isolate at home, or my own infusion at home, and make cookies out of it, and it hits different. It just hits different. So
I think a lot of people would call that like an RSO, and that too is one that really amplifies same reasoning. We're getting multiple cannabinoids at the same time, and it's basically everything in the plant coming into you. And I've had people say, edibles don't work. Try RSO. It'll work. I have not had anyone say, that didn't work. I've had them say, that was too much.
With that said, there is a small percentage of the population, literally 1 or 2% of the population. But my friend Joe is one of that group, and he's not here tonight. Joe Audette, yes. So, anyway, your body makes an enzyme, or it doesn't make an enzyme. Anyway, I can't remember if it's that it does it or it doesn't, but your body does or doesn't make this enzyme that if you have or don't have it, then you will not process cannabis through your digestive system. And that's I think that's a sad, I am sad for them. I'm sad for them because I really like to eat my cannabis. It's better than a Xanax, seriously. Okay, so we talked about combustibles, we talked about consumables, we talked about isolate versus whole plant. Topicals. Man, do I love my topicals. So like I said, cannabis is a potentiator for plant medicine. That is very true of topicals. I just make stuff on my stove at home and with some other herbs that I grow in my backyard, and I use it on my hands and it feels really good. Using topicals medicinally is fantastic, especially I love it because I have a little arthritis in my thumbs, and it's just, it works great. It just works great. If you're in a situation where you are being tested for cannabinoids for your work, you can test positive from a topical. Pass that on, tell everybody. You can test positive for a drug test from a topical. This does cross your skin blood barrier. So, but you can also get in front of it and say, I use and ask for a more sensitive test that tests for the kinds of cannabinoids that are in your bloodstream, because that'll differentiate. So, anyway, you can get it. But don't ask for it and own it and own it in the front end, because you will test positive. Okay.
Real quick too, they use RSO too as a topical. A lot of people have used that on skin cancer, and they swear by it. I don't think it's been approved by any means as a treatment, but Rick Simpson oil is what it stands for. He swears that's why he's alive, and he did that, applied it, covered it, applied it, covered it, and it cured him, healed him for sure.
That's when cannabis as a medicine, that's one of the high doses of whole plant is essentially what RSO, Rick Simpson oil is, and that is one of the ways that historically cannabis has been used by humans as medicine, is in very high doses. So we have two more buckets. That's topicals. I like them with other nutraceuticals, other plant medicines. This one has comfrey in it. I like it, it's nice. Tinctures, we also have tinctures. That is, those come in alcohol, oil, or glycerin, okay? And traditionally they are you put them droppers of them under your tongue, and the reason you do that is because the delivery system, remember cannabis crosses the skin barrier. You have veins under your tongue that are really, really close to the surface. So you put it under your tongue, and it crosses the barrier pretty quickly, almost as quickly as hitting a joint, almost as quickly as a combustible. But for somebody who is trying to get in front of their pain and using cannabis as medicine, the tincture is very fast acting, and a good way to get that relief if you can't combust. But only about half of it goes in through under your tongue. The other half of it will end up going into your stomach and through your digestive system. And then that turns into the alpha hydroxy, which is 5 times more psychoactive, and whee, off we go. So don't underestimate your tinctures. They are a fantastic way for using cannabis as medicine. Tinctures and topicals, and then also suppositories. We'll talk about, would you like to take suppositories or would you like me to take suppositories? Because you have to do this gesture every time you talk about suppositories. Making you blush is my new favorite thing to do. Nope. So, excellent. Suppository, it works. Again, it's those blood vessels that are super, super close to the surface. So it is a very fast-acting way to get the cannabis directly into your bloodstream. It is also it's specifically for women who are experiencing the pain of endometriosis. It is there are vaginal and anal suppositories. And they're good for all of the things. They act as a localized pain relief, and they are also an excellent delivery system if it's for sustained delivery, or if you can't eat anything. So if you are people who have tubes in them and are using cannabis for pain relief, that's a fantastic delivery system for them. And then that's it for modalities. We have super run out of time, so I'm going to actually skip the section of terpenes of the language of cannabis. We can talk about that another time. So then let's recap the tenets of quality for flower and concentrates. So I just wrote these down that I definitely wanted to hit those. So for flowers and concentrates, a current and applicable certificate of analysis. You want to look for a high terpene percentage. You also want to ask, does it have the terpenes that you want? Conversely, does it have terpenes that you don't want? You want to make your purchasing decisions not on the THC quantity content, but on the kinds of terpenes that are there and how you know that your body reacts to them, and also the percentage of terpenes on the COA. And then lastly, the ratio of THC to CBD and minor cannabinoids. When we're using cannabis as medicine, a lot of that pain relief can really be found in the ratios. So 1:1, and that is 1:1 is it's 50-50 THC CBD, and then it has the spectrum of minor cannabinoids. That's like a 1:1, and those are actually like there are plants that are grown that consistently test within those ratios, and that's where that a lot of that medicine is. So high terpene percentage, does it contain the terpenes you want, and then the ratio of THC to CBD and minor cannabinoids. Those are the things that you really want to look for when you're purchasing quality flower and concentrates. Do you want to do consumables, or do you have anything to add to that?
Part of that, what she was kind of saying, the more minor cannabinoids you find in it, the entourage effect will amplify. So you find one with THC, CBD, and some CBG or CBN, that is a really high quality cannabis, usually grown organically or living soil, some along those lines. Just to get the actual terp percent up too helps with all that. I think you pretty much got most of what I would say in terms of recapping the quality cannabis. What else did you want to go through?
We can go to your consumables.
So yeah, one big thing with consumables, definitely a lot of people have problems with alcohol and not having alcohol drink options, and maybe feeling still in community in places to me is a big thing. I know to a lot of alcoholics is a big thing. A lot of them will even say that's too much for them or whatever, but also your body doesn't always need alcohol. You don't have an alcohol system. And same with sugars in them. There's a lot of, actually one of the gals I went to Ganjier with, she's in Missouri, and they have edible medicinal, and they have an option of beef jerky, and it's protein. It's in a trial with them, and she was one in the trial. She brought some with her, and she didn't want sugar in her edible, and it's loaded with protein. So it's good to see that we're kind of moving away from just gummies, cookies. Granted, that's all good, but again, like a diabetic with sugar resistance and stuff like that, probably should not be consuming that way. And again, the whole plant aspect and all your consumables is really key. You will get some of them from, my mom actually had one from Arizona, and it was 100 milligram THC, 25 CBN, 50 CBD. I think that was it, and it was a medical for pain relief. And I recommended she not take that, and that was going to be extremely strong for her. And she took basically a 10 milligram one and said, oh, that was kind of tough, but it did have the 3 in it. And they gave her those options, and I asked her if she'd mail them to me, but she didn't. Yeah, it pretty much wraps that up.
So obviously, so mainly with the tinctures, mostly you're going to see alcohol-based tinctures. If you don't want to have that, ask for glycerin or oil. That's easy, and if they don't have that, go somewhere. Like, just walk away. Same with sugar-free. Like, there's plenty of options out there. You shouldn't just do. You can find something. And the rest of the consumables, look for the same things that you look for in your food. Look for the same qualities that you value in your food systems. So whatever that is, because there are plenty of wonderful options out there. And yes, I do a lot of cooking, a lot. I do cook for a living actually these days, I think a savory application is just gorgeous for gorgeous option, especially for infusing food. It can be, and I do pairings. So yeah, it can be a really nice inclusion in food. And right here, Robert actually, that's one of the things that he does with his beverages is he took the botanical-based terpene profile of his favorite strains, and he developed a craft beverage around those terpene profiles. So the layer cake lemonade is based off of the terpene profile of layer cake, and sour tangy is sour diesel. I don't remember. Probably, yeah. Oh no, it's something I don't remember. Anyway, so it's stuff like that. Like that's craft. That's an intent. Like even though that's an isolate, I would argue that that's craft because it's made with care and intention. And always, what do we say that the secret ingredient of craft is? It's the love. So, and then tenets of quality for topicals, tinctures, and suppositories. Again, it's the ingredients list. What do you look for in all of the other things that you want to put in, on, under, around, and up your body? Like hold those standards. Hold the standard. So, do you have anything to add? Nope. Okay, any questions? Anyone have a minute? No. Yes.
It's just a whole plant extraction. It's called Rick Simpson oil. I believe he probably didn't invent it.
No, but he certainly
He normalized the
certainly
use of it.
Yeah, he he brought it back.
Yeah, and it's real dark usually. I've seen some. It's a little golden, and you can eat it, smoke it, use it as topical, and it's super concentrated everything. And also from last week, you had asked about cover crops, and I did a little research. So Tyler from Duluth, is it Audalon? I forget.
Yeah, he's working with Audalon.
So he works for Audalon. He said his go-to is alfalfa and the clover, and then one I should have remembered is sunflowers, because all the places out in California, they all have cannabis seeds and sunflower seeds. And then he also said tomatoes work pretty well in the garden with it, and both the tomato and the sunflowers, they get a deeper root, and he likes that for it, and the other ones keep a shorter root. So that's what he said. So any other questions?
What are your favorite modalities?
His question was, what are our favorite modalities? I certainly like smoking joints. You get the combustion and vaporization and the journey of the joint. There's definitely a different feeling than a couple of rips out of the bong with the same amount. That's how I assess all my cannabis for the Ganjier. I believe you can assess it any way you'd like, but it's recommended that way for those reasons. So you're getting some of the terp, and also cannabinoids vaporized halfway through. It's a totally different sensation than combustion over and over. So that's the way I prefer. I believe she'll say the same.
Yep. I like joint. I'm gonna roll one right now. I'll just quick demonstrate how I roll a joint.
She crinkles.
I do crinkle, and so much of this is probably myth, but
It helps.
I think it
Definitely helps.
It helps create a more even burn.
I think it rolls easier too, honestly. Another one.
You like your cones too. Oh yeah, and I go crushless.
That's a debate, big debate.
So many of I saw Sergio earlier. That man rolls a beautiful joint. But he he does it professionally. People will hire him because that's how much of a beautiful joint he rolls. And he always does it with a crutch.
A lot of people swear by crutches. A lot of people hate them.
What is a crutch?
A crutch is the end. That's a filter. This is a glass crutch you can roll in.
Yeah, I think those cardboard ones are bomb. It's supposed
Yeah.
to aerate. It's supposed to aerate your flowers so that you get more flavor out of your cannabis. And I just think that's.
So this would be an example of a crutch you put in the end. It folds over a bunch of different times. At first rolling, it's pretty hard to put them in yourself, but once you get good at it, I can do it now, but I don't roll in front of people because I'm not that good at it. But this little OCB one comes with both paper and that right in the. I've rolled quite a few with this, and this is a longer paper. Some people roll just, I'll call it a justy joint. They're about that big around, and to me, I don't.
2 grammers.
Yeah, I don't mind that, but it gets pretty harsh pretty fast because it's hot. The bigger your cherry, the hotter your burn. It doesn't need to be that hot. I think that's why they came up with the longer paper. But again, it's almost better at a point to have 2 joints over one because the resin content keeps building and you taste it, and at a certain point, it's not as enjoyable.
Yeah, the resin content will totally build up. Also, when you reach towards the end of your joint, fun fact, and by the time you hit I'm not finished rolling it, by the time you hit there, almost all the terpenes left after that are caryophyllene.
Yep.
Yeah.
They burn off faster than the caryophyllene, so
Yeah, because they're
it's got a higher burn point.
higher smoke point essentially.
And then also, with the resin content, you can tell the better your cannabis is as it builds up faster on your joint. So if you notice waxy substance on the outside, a nice, it'll basically indicate how much resin has been in there. And there's sometimes I've had it drip off of there. That's a pretty good cannabis there. And then the ring, are you talking about like the hash hole or?
No. So when you're smoking like really like high terpene, high quality terpene, high terpene flower, as in a joint, you'll get this like glistening, waxy
That's kind of
ring,
nice.
kind of right around and the combustion point. So you have your combustion point, and then the paper just gets it looks wet.
Yep.
And that's the
It's
resin.
a resin.
It is. It's the oil. It's the resin oil that where the
Another new thing, maybe it's not that new, but these
those
are pretty
fancy.
nice.
I hope they catch on. I like
This is
those.
for your community smoking. It's just a nice little silicone piece for
Okay.
yourself. Pass to the
Like a
next.
little mouth.
You keep this, so you're not kissing everybody in the circle.
And you're not bringing it home.
Yep. Again, I have them.
Scary.
I bet you there's 10 times that I'm halfway through smoking like I wish I would have used that. I gotta get more used to using it, whatever, but it does make sense. I mean, especially in cold and flu season, really, I mean,
Seriously.
you're definitely passing a lot of germs in a community smoking session. And that's another thing with craft cannabis that I like to say is a big part of it is the community too. Just
Sharing terms.
Maybe not the germ part, but you know, if it happens, it happens. It's life in the business. But again, it's just, you know, fun to have people who are interested in the same stuff you're interested in. And if it's cannabis, it's cannabis. And usually you'll have a lot of other things in common with those people, it seems, because it's a thing that brings you together. And that's a big part of the craft to me is people are trying to do better and better and better, not just for themselves, but for other people, crafting the community. So, you know, add anything or any other questions?
Oh yeah, let's open it to some questions. Any questions? Okay, yes. How long is cannabis good for after it's reached the cure point? Like, what's the ideal time to smoke it?
Well, that's a really good question.
So the question was, how long is cannabis good for after the curing point? Jimmy told me 20 years, but he has a method. So as soon as it's cured, bags it, freezes it, and then not just bags it, but also in the freezer he has it protected, so nothing's hitting it. And he did it individually, and he said they had like, I don't know how much it was, but him and his friends had this grow that they really liked, and he kept it for, it was 19 years, and they had one more. And within opening it and everything, he said it was basically as good as the original day. It's obviously a little degraded, but personally, I have stuff in a jar that is 18 months, it smells better, it probably doesn't smoke as good, but for sure a year after cured, if you jar it, keep it out of the light, I have no issues with it for a year.
How long your flower lasts and how long it is consumable is entirely dependent on how well it has been cured and how well it has been stored. You can, because there are plenty, if a plant is properly grown and it is properly dried and cured, and then it is properly stored. I've had flower that was 3 and 4 years old, and it matures into something also that's truly beautiful. It's a craft, it's an art, and it is entirely dependent on the skill of the artisan. And then how much love and care it's given afterwards. So the bouquet matures into, it can mature. The one that I had that was just gorgeous, it matured into like something. It was like caramelly. It was really unique. It was really unique, and it was quite a beautiful experience. I felt like I was experiencing something truly cherished.
Same with that. The one that I've had 18 months now, there's been at least 3 different stages of its odor. Still all good, but the journey definitely has a different aroma than it started. And when I first, I dried it well and cured it, but it was 6 months and there was hardly any aroma. And that literally 1 year, I was like, wow, where did that come from? And now it still has really good aroma, but it is different. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yep.
in the vein of storage, are you concerned about humidity, or how do you regulate that, or are you concerned about?
How do we regulate? Was it just the humidity?
Yeah, understanding that plays a role in
Personally,
preservation.
yeah, I don't know what the humidity should be. 60 is it? Your environment should be at. I'm looking at my jars all the time. I don't know, I just have a feel to it. I really don't know how to explain it other than that. You know when you pop it open if it seems wet or dry. And if it gets dry, a lot of times just open it and let it sit. You might gain enough moisture back. But obviously if it's too wet and you have it sealed up, you're gonna get mold. So I lean towards the drier side. And I really don't have a true hardened way that I actually do it.
Sorry, when I'm gonna have like, just thinking like, we usually have to have like this silicone.
Yeah, they do make, is it Bivia packs or both of
There's a
them?
couple of different brands out there. Honestly, if your weed is cured properly, you shouldn't need it.
You should. It is very common though. Dispensary stuff I bought, they have them in there. And I don't know. To me, when I see the weed sitting on it, and then I go to break that up, I'm like, do I smell this little pack on it? I probably don't, but my brain says I do. It's probably the true answer.
No, I was just gonna say, it's one thing to be, when we're talking about your expectation for quality when you go into a dispensary. Are you paying like a regular modest price, and you're not expecting the best? You're expecting your cannabis to be pretty dry and kind of on the older side, and have the terpenes knocked off. Like, okay, but that's the flower that you're purchasing that day. I would expect to see a little, like, one of those silicone packs in there, because if it's going to be sitting around for a long time, yeah, you want to have one of those silicone packs in there. But if your expectation is that this is premium craft quality cannabis, the chain of custody is also there, and that's what you're paying that premium price for. Is that it should be dried and cured to perfection, and it should not need one of those packs, and you should be caring for it, because you also are going to pay a lot of money for that. But it also deserves to cost a lot of money, because it's like kind of like a fine wine, or like a really nice craft beer, or it takes a lot of it's an art, and it takes a long time to learn that art, and it takes a lot of care to practice that art, and those things deserve compensation, like your brewmaster, and like your vintner, and a sausage maker, other craft things that we like and that we enjoy. Look at that physicals, those trichomes, and yeah, silicone packs Cost benefits everything. I mean, honestly, to me, mentally, I look at it, if I see a silicone pack, I'm like, oh, that's been sitting there a while. Mentally, that's what I see. So, or at least they're planning for it to sit on the shelf for a really long ass time. So, yeah, there you go.
I was just gonna ask if you know any more about like how they do the isolate process. So they grow it on beef, like synthetic.
Oh, the synthetic isolate. Yeah, my understanding is that it's grown from yeast. Does anybody else have more?
I know, not synthetically, but they use hydrocarbon extractions to get a lot of isolates out. CO2 is one, and I think they can isolate terpenes and cannabinoids separately out of the same thing with CO2, which doesn't have residual hydrocarbons afterwards, where your other ways like butane and stuff, they might. So if it does, I don't even know what it would say. Yeah. I believe it.
He does pH.
Right. Well, I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
Just the CO2 basically tests totally clean every time.
Oh, absolutely.
So
That again,
There's
for
your
somebody
proof.
who's doing their job and
Right.
respects the process of the craft.
yeah. And that's kind of like to the answer for yours too is, I guess I've been an artist for 25 years, as she was saying, I just have the feel to how to keep it at the right humidity, and when I need to mess with it, it's just been around it a long time and dealing with it a long time, really. So.
But real quick, so our basements are actually fantastic for cannabis in the state of Minnesota. We have naturally perfect root cellars for lots of different things, and cannabis is one of them. Because remember, cannabis is just a plant. So and it stores a lot of the preservation treatments, tactics, techniques do apply to cannabis. So our root cellars are fantastic. But if you do not have access to a root cellar and don't want to regularly burp your flower jars, keep them in glass, please. Mylar bags are a huge no. Please don't use Mylar bags and don't put your weed in them. It just beats the hell out of the trichomes. Don't purchase cannabis that comes in Mylar bags. Ask for it to not be in a Mylar bag. Ask for it to be glass. What else? Oh, storing it. Back to storing it. If you want to get bougie as hell, get a humidor. Yes. Cannabis should be stored like fine cannabis, bespoke, boutique, bougie ass flowers should be stored in a humidor the same way you would store a bougie ass cigar. Questions? Answers? Julia? Hello. Yes.
Light. You want to keep it out of the light.
Yeah.
Yes.
Light,
Light bad.
THC, like no
Heat
business.
bad.
Yeah. Light.
Light totally off gases your terpenes. So if you have a jar of weed and you leave it in the sun and you look at all of that beautiful glistening water on the sides of the jar after you've been sitting in the sun for a while, that's not water, it's your terpenes. And that's abuse. Oh, I wanted to show you one more thing. Also, when you're lighting your joint, do not light your joint like you light a cigarette. Don't light it like that.
I want you to light it like this. Okay? And
Toasting it.
yeah. And here's why. Because and this is actually one of the nicer ones. I had one of those janky plastic ones out here earlier. And they're everywhere. Also, I did, thank you. So this is like, these are the worst, they use the worst quality butane in these. These are like this is the worst crap. And it's single use, and then it ends up on it as its own island in the Pacific, and it's crap. It's the chicken McNuggets of weed, are all of these, and I've got a drawer full of them. But here's what I wanted to show you: the butane that's used in these, it's such low quality that's the soot. That's the soot just from 2 seconds of putting this flame up against porcelain, and this wipes off. It's fine. But when you're lighting your joint or cigarette with it like this, you are actually pulling all of that soot through your cigarette or joint and into your lungs. And that's one of the reasons that's bad. Okay. Should you choose to do that to your lungs, that's your choice. But please don't do that to your weed, because it changes the flavor of your weed and it makes it taste sooty. Don't disrespect your weed that way.
What's the roll called? Just roll.
Oh, those are nice. The
hemp
twine.
There you go, hemp twine.
Hemp twine.
You like that, and really good for multiple use with the bong. Just keep it lit. You come up with that. Works really well. You get certain ones, you can pull them back and shut them off real easy. Real nice.
Hemp twines are fantastic for bong use, like fantastic. Any other questions? Well, thank you.
Thanks for showing up.
Eric,